Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Jeff Newman, and the name of this show is AI, Bitcoin, and DX, Digital Transformation for SMBs, Small Medium-Sized Businesses, Consulting Playbook. I know that's a lot. The description of the show is to bring not just Bitcoin to SMBs, but to expand into AI and the general digital transformation theme. And what's really cool and interesting is when we find people at the crossroads or at the edge of all of this. And so today, I would like to introduce our guest, Sean, who is joining us. Um, Sean, yeah, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're doing over at Rythm?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jeff. Right now I'm working on a project called Rythm. It's it's a little bit of like I like to phrase it as a bouncer for your inbox. It's essentially somebody who stands at the front door and processes everything that comes in and makes a decision. Do I know you? Are you on the list? And if not, can you pay me? So the impetus is really that kind of ties into this whole AI digital transformation that you started to touch on. But we're quickly transitioning into this world where there is so much information online. Content is becoming extremely abundant. The cost of producing anything digital is rapidly falling to zero. And in that world, we're starting to realize it. Everybody starts to realize it. They're like, well, how do I know what's real? How do I know what's fake? How do I know this person is who they say they are? And these are not new questions on the internet. Like we have built solutions for these already. Um, but our thesis is that the solutions we have are tack-on solutions, um, not native to the internet. So the idea of imposing a prohibitive cost on attackers or or using identity as a filter is how you combat this, wave of just abundance that's coming our way, digital abundance. So Rhythm today right now it is a tack-on solution for Gmail and Outlook. It processes webhooks, but the long-term vision for it is to rebuild this from a protocol stack level so that we have identity and cost baked in, and it's not like an additive solution that you need to pay for. But yeah, so we have a very optimistic and higher level view for where we think the internet is going and why. And right now, it's a practical solution that works on most inboxes and allows you to keep your email, which is big. A lot of solutions in the market that combat spam either require you to switch emails or they continue to use further probabilistic spam filters like what already exists natively in your Gmail or Outlook. So yeah, we are this like last line of defense, this deterministic filter to make sure that if something hits your inbox, you know who it came from, or you know that they paid to get that message through to you.
That's awesome. Is your solution live today, or is still is the business working?
Yeah. We're alive.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. I think we're going to go into privacy. Let me reintroduce you. Can I say your whole name and like
Yeah,
your
for
background?
sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sometimes you never know with privacy focused people. I was like, today's Sean, and 'cause that's how your name's appearing in our in our app here. So yeah, if I pronounce it wrong, is it Dudgeon?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh, Sean Dudgeon. Open source future closed inbox. That's an awesome LinkedIn. I'm going to put your LinkedIn in the show notes if that's okay.
Yeah, great.
Um, yeah, and so I guess we know each other through the world of Bitcoin, and I think that what's cool about this show is if I can find Bitcoiners for sure and share their Bitcoin story, but if everyone's using AI and that could reach more people and ultimately benefit the mid market or small medium sized businesses, and why? Because there's 30 million to 30, like there's most businesses, and I mean most, I mean 30 million businesses in the US alone are, defined as SMBs, 1 to 5 employees, 10 employees. There's this long tail. The Fortune 500, the Mag 7, MicroStrategy, these are the outliers. I mean, these are like, again, 500 out of 30 million.
Hmm.
So most people work for SMBs. And so when I talk to these AI founders, the question is, are they, how is their adoption of these solutions? What's their knowledge? And I think there's a huge knowledge gap. Uh, we're surrounded by, or at least personally follow, listen to podcasts, and I'm on X and look at the experts every day in my feeds on LinkedIn. But I think they're outliers too. So the question is, like, how do we translate, the edge of what's going on and how to help people, but then bring it back to like a normal conversation, but then show an accessible thing. So what's really cool about Rythm is you're solving a real problem. It's a real good company. And here you are explaining the value of plain English, which is, hey, you know, you're solving a state problem, I believe, right?
Hmm. Yeah, it is. It's funny because the more that I've exposed this to people, the more I've actually learned about who this is for. Because you're building something, you always have your own perception of what problem it solves, and then the more people that see it and touch it and use it, I'm learning from them. It's like there's all these niches that I hadn't really thought through before that are now kind of appearing as a proper use case. Um, and I think ironically, it's like the impetus for this was because I've, been studying and involved in Bitcoin for a long time, and many people who know the history of even prior to Bitcoin, like all the way back to Adam Back's Hashcash, and then more recently, thesis like Jason Lowery's software, know that the idea of imposing costs on attackers is important, and we haven't really found a universal way to do that natively on the internet. And now the use case for why is becoming really real is becoming a reality very fast because of how much change we're experiencing digitally because of AI. So that was the impetus for moving towards and building this. But ironically, I'm kind of finding that like it's a dual layer deterministic filter. It's identity and cost and or cost. Like a bouncer, if you're on the list, lets you in. So, and I actually think that the real like immediate use case is this deterministic identity filter that's first. Like the ability for somebody to pay to land a message in your inbox is it's cool. It is. But I think it's like almost at this point it's like an add-on, and the real value prop is the ability for all of us, for individuals, to have control over who's allowed to access our inbox frictionless and who needs to have friction. So it's very simple. It's like if somebody you don't know emails you, it goes into a separate folder and you can review it later or never. It's really up to you. It's kind of like a second layer spam folder. But that distinction right there of just separating unknown from known makes it turns your inbox from this place where you're constantly suspicious and skeptical and analyzing everything to this trusted list of messages and then a place where you have to review carefully. And it's actually like it already exists in a lot of things we use. Like there's a lot of social medias that do this already natively with DMs or direct messages where you only see direct messages from people you follow or connected with. And then if somebody's you don't know is trying to talk to you, it's like in a separate place. So it might be, it's a request to speak to you. But that just doesn't exist in email. We try and probabilistically guess what's spam, and it's been a problem, but it's becoming worse.
Nice. So from a work email standpoint, I work at a big company or medium-sized company, but let's say I'm in the sales marketing role
Hmm.
and I'm a purchasing decision maker, and so and people know, people are always knocking on my door because of your title on LinkedIn says that you're in the sales, marketing, that you're the purchaser for blank, right? So of course people are coming for you. Um, could I, in theory, in this example, could I set a market rate to say, okay, I have a spam folder, but I have a paid inbox, like sub inbox, where every message in there is paid to get in there. I know to look at it. And since you put value to get in my inbox, and it is separated, I'll click into that time of my choosing, but I'll review it and then realize that it's a class above spam because there was actual, you know, resources put into it. Like you paid money to get into my consideration inbox, sub inbox. And yeah, it's a sales pitch. I get it, but at least you put some money behind it. It's like snail mail, paid promotions. People pay for that.
Yeah,
Um,
it shows
if you do it,
intent too.
yeah. Is there a market rate where, like, who sets the market rate of what the value is to get into that?
Everybody has the ability to choose their own price. So you could set it at 3 cents, or you could set it at $5 or $10. Um, I guess it depends on who you are, what you're doing, and yeah, like the way I think about it is like super low friction would be, super low amount of money. But if you're super busy and getting in contact with you is you want it to be difficult because you already have a full day, and maybe even like I always think about it from a sense of like um, attention, distraction, as well as like the value of, for instance, if somebody got like fished and it was just like their normal Gmail, and there was like, just a normal person that didn't really have much sensitive information. It's like, okay, it sucks. It's probably like a hassle to go through and resolve. But if somebody who has access to really important information gets phished, it's a big problem. It's a lot of money involved. Uh, there's a lot of cascading effects. So the range of use case, the range of is really, it's so variable dependent on the individual or the corporation. And I think that's something I've been navigating right now as well, is like Rythm is a B2C, but it's also a B2B. And I think the B2C use cases are very niche. It's like I keep thinking about journalists. They are very publicly facing email addresses. People will reach out to them for, sponsors, for other things, for those, but they'll also get like a lot of hate mail or like outward spam because they're publicly facing. Same with influencers. All of these, like, there's all these weird pocket niches where you need a publicly facing email address, but you're also like not inviting people to message you all the time because you're selling something, for instance. And then it becomes your job to sift through all of this junk, and because it's real mail, it's like I can spin up a domain and harden its validity and then send people a lot of mail. Like it's not that it's spam. Like I did it, and now I could do it even faster and cheaper than I could last year. Um, so the idea of like what is spam is slowly becoming, we don't know, because it used to be a logic, a whole logic argument, and now it's like,
Right.
yeah, I'm getting messages all the time from like random startups in my inbox that I never signed up for, that I've never heard of them, but they're doing mass marketing email campaigns, and I'm getting hit with them. And like I didn't ask for this. It's spam in my eyes, but they very well might be a legitimate company. So yeah, it's like we're slowly transitioning into this point where things are becoming messy.
Right. It's subjective too. I mean, email marketing, if it hooks you and makes you pick up the phone and ask more questions, uh, I'll hire the agency that worked on me,
Yeah.
right? So like, oh, that's you added, you sparked curiosity, you added value, call to action. I picked up the phone, called you. If you can get my interest out of a busy day, then I'm interested in working with you, and I've personally done that where I've hired vendors or created partnerships with people that have broken through the noise. And so yeah, the objective and subjective. What is spam? It's like, well, that depends. Did they add value? And it's two people can A/B test and get different results. So that's a very good point. Yeah. How long have you been working on this? What like if you don't mind sharing a little bit of the background, like was there a stealth period and then like you're live now, how long you've been live and just kind of anything you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah. I guess I could just give a little bit like deeper of a back to how it all evolved to get to here a little bit. I studied finance in undergrad. That's when I found Bitcoin, and I studied them both tangentially. So it was basically like go to school and learn Keynesian and modern monetary theory, but then go home and read Austrian economics and uh, contrarian theories to the way we currently operate. And it was it was like really helpful for me because it made me see things in from two perspectives instead of trying to like understand one and memorize it. It kind of like helped put things in context for me. And obviously, I gravitated towards Austrian economics more because it made like just more logical sense to me. And Bitcoin seems like a actualization of these ideas for the first time. So those all compounded. At the time, I was also doing a lot of I ran a sneaker business in college where I was reselling shoes, and the way we were doing it was exploiting online releases. So I learned, ample amount about web traffic and logic versus logic defense systems because the entire game was, a constant cat and mouse between let's change the defense, let's change the offense, let's change the defense, let's change the offense. It's the exact same idea with probabilistic spam filters. It's kind of like a weird tie-in, but it does make me think about that a lot because I learned so much during those like 2 years of how much change you saw and how different things were week to week because there was a constant evolution, a constant cat and mouse game. Um, and then after school, I moved to Boston. I did strategy consulting there. And then after that, I started doing some things on my own, working on my own projects. I was doing a couple things, and then I started to stumble into Rhythm. I would say in July 2025. That's when the ideas really started to permeate, and it's been a evolution because the impetus for it was, as I touched on really early on, to have identity and cost natively in the protocol stack. And as I started to build that, I realized one, how big of a mountain this was going to be to climb, and two, that it's going to cause a lot of friction for users to move into this because it would be requiring to like almost move to a different email protocol standard, and we're 40 years into one already. So I started at the utopia and then slowly worked my way backwards to, okay, well, how do we make the first stepping stone that moves us towards the direction that we need to go of natively using identity and cost in the internet protocol stack, the email protocol stack, as opposed to quick solutions that will likely start to become a thing with like digital IDs instead, because I don't think that's a good direction for us to go in. So yeah, so Rhythm is basically like a reverse engineering, a work backwards. It's a first stepping stone towards the direction that we need to move. Um, yeah, so I've had just this weird combination of like economics, finance, tech, um, and then like I guess strategic or like structured thinking. And I definitely was just really ready to build things on my own. And I still work on a decent amount of side projects that I'm really passionate about, but this has really taken the forefront because one, I think there's great product market fit right now, and there's a growing use case. Um, and two, ideally, like this would, help to fund the other projects I'm even more interested in building, or even the next stepping stones that Rhythm can move towards building email on a sound standard instead of a shaky foundation. So yeah, there's a lot in there. I don't know which direction you want to take it, but we could tease something
Yeah,
out.
that's awesome that you put everything that it's all stepping stones. I like that analogy. It's like you got a formal education, but then you took personal responsibility to like be a contrarian or think a little more critically. Like the college is telling you one form of MMT, and you're like, well, there's also you know Austrian and hard money, and so yeah, that's a great story about most Bitcoiners have that story. Then the question is, what are we doing, right? And what do you bring into market? Um, in terms of like product market fit and like being a B2B solution, my show or what I'm trying to look for is like the small, medium-sized businesses. Is there like a size, like is a solopreneur or like, a team of 5 or 10 people, is that okay to start? Like, or do you see like, like do you even have a sweet spot,
Hmm.
where you're like, hey, the real value, or maybe, I don't know, I don't want to say economies of scale. That's not for me to say, but, um, hey, this could benefit my personal Gmail. Is that true? Or it's like G Suite. So like small companies that use Google. I don't know. I'm just curious if you want to like share a little bit like what customer profile like you've been going after or been surprised to receive, or like the kind of direction you want to go. And I always like to ask it just like really transparently, like if you're a listener and this sounds like you know this should be a good fit. I always like to do that too, where the listener says, "Oh, that sounds like me," and
Hmm.
that's how you're helping them know this could be right for me, and like just put it out there, right?
No, it's a great question. I think I continually kind of get surprised I've been focused mainly on B2C, but recently I've gotten a lot of like conversation about B2B, because people are interested because it's definitely a different solution. There's some things that are similar to Rhythm on the market, but they have some trade-offs and they're significantly more expensive. So, but I understand that there's the thing about B2B is every company has different internal regulations, red tape, structure, priorities. So I actually think that the further you get towards like S&P 500, the less applicable Rhythm kind of becomes. And that's not like a blanket statement because there are middle grounds where it is a good fit. I think the a big determining factor is the I would say one, the depth that they've already gone into email like protection services. There are a lot of companies that already do like most of them are extremely like sophisticated probabilistic additional probabilistic spam filters on top of what already natively exists in email. Um, but we believe that there's a fundamental flaw in those approaches. So they're super expensive, they're super fancy. It'll have this like system scan every email that comes in and click every link and click everything on the page to make sure there's no malware. Um, they're super super costly, and they do a decent job, but it's still in that realm of infinite cat and mouse game, a an arms race, an exponential arms race with no end. Um, so we offer like just a different like philosophical approach in that sense that it's a strictly deterministic binary outcome. Do I know you? Do I not know you? Um, and that's what actually makes it so cheap. It's because we're not running these crazy computational, analyses on every single email that comes in. It's just a simple scan and decision. Um,
Let me ask you a big let me be the beginner. Let me ask you a question. Hey, I just started my company. How would you know who I know? What if I don't know anybody?
yeah. So when you sign up, Rhythm does like a structured scan of your email history to construct a whitelist for you. And so based off of like what you have already, it'll come up with something and you can review it. Um, but yeah, and you
But
move from there.
so my question is, I'm a new company, and again, I'm a business customer, not Jeff the individual. So it's a new Gmail or Outlook for a new business, and I'm 6 months into my new business. Um, is that difficult for you, or would it be easier for you to say, "Oh, Jeff's been in business for 10 years. Now scan who I know and don't know in my business inbox"?
I know, I think 6 months is more than enough. Like by that point, you already have like probably all the services you've subscribed to or use, invoices, like normal mail that you see. Um, from then on out, it's just the same process as always. It's if somebody's new, they could be genuine or they could not be, and this is just an easy way to protect yourselves from those who are not. But like to touch on the, because I think you're getting at is like the small businesses, I think are probably a better product market fit because, or at least in terms of friction, because like from some conversations that I've had, every like IT department at these bigger companies, they have, they have different standards, different protocols, different rules that they follow. And some this is it's an easy fit, but some there's friction. They have to convince each other, convince their department lead. That it's a process, and they're gonna and they'll have to go through it. And I think it really depends on one, like the sensitivity of the data that they're holding, or their company's like internal priorities. Like state departments are not going to use this. They probably run their own email servers. Like they have traits of good. This, you know what I mean? But there's definitely this sweet middle ground where, they're not holding nuclear launch codes, but if they get breached, it's possibly a lawsuit just because of uh, sensitive data gets leaked that shouldn't have been, or they're legally obligated to protect, things like that.
Yeah, the EU has the GDRP, like just, and it's almost like, is that just a regulatory moat for the bigger the companies get, they go lobby the EU or Washington to then create onerous, like, I'll give you an example. Working for a small, medium-sized consulting company myself, we don't go after cumbersome RFPs because to go through an RFP process and to not win it, we just don't have the resources. So it's like it's the joke about lawyers and discovery where they just dump, pages, boxes of material on you. It's a strategy to drown out the little guy. So again, this goes back to cat and mouse strategy in business. So that's why I think SMBs, they need the most help, and this can be an asymmetric value proposition for again, saving them time, saving them money, helping them focus, but also like you're not creating a regulatory moat to make it hard for them or expensive for them to use a solution. It's the Fortune 500 government contractors, and that's a different class of services, and fair enough. They're in a different league. Again, let's just focus on like this opportunity here where it's like small, medium-sized business is not a small, medium-sized opportunity. It's actually a huge opportunity. That's don't let them fool you. It's again, it goes back. It's the long tail. It's like 30 million. There's so many. Most businesses, most employers, most people. If you work for somebody, work for a small, medium-sized business. And these entrepreneurs. I'm going to start a business. You're probably going to start a small, medium-sized business.
No, it's true. And you're sort of thinking back to what you said earlier on. It was like the long tail is like, I think, 30 million, but there's so many small businesses from 1 to 30 employees. Yeah, it is. It's definitely the most uh, like swift product market fit, in the sense that you're not going to have this crazy IT department that has to spend a month tailing through a decision and convincing their board to agree with it. It's just, this is extremely cheap. It's extremely effective, and it's something that the user has complete control over, which I think is a lot different from a lot of the protection services out there. It's like this, super intelligent black box that you trust to be the guard, and to trust to constantly evolve with the speed that attackers evolve. Whereas this is just really, it's a guest list that you control. It's like, it's very, very simple concept with binary outputs. Um, so yeah, it's like I mean, we can shift towards AI a little bit here, because it's starting to make me, part of the reason I saw this, or was driven towards this and other related things, is that technology is deflationary. Like, we have all of these expensive services, products, solutions, and very quickly we're experiencing the ability to, I mean, produce content is going to zero. All of these like
So
small things.
for the Bitcoin listeners, you'd be familiar with Jeff Booth and the price of tomorrow, and things are being deflationary. Okay, I have a question. So, if I'm a business customer, can different users, different departments, can have different thresholds? So, for example, I want my IT security guys to have the highest threshold, like no strangers, but I want the sales marketing department to have a lower threshold because they would like to review potential, you know, just sales pitches. Like, okay, it's I don't know you, but you're going to pitch me a potential service. Why not? But yeah, let's put a little bit of value there to just to cut through the riffraff. But I want my security IT people to be monks, where they just are they're internal only. Like, no, 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 don't sell my IT people like that. That's not how you do that. Can you within one organization have different and like leave absolutely leave my CEO alone? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
a yes, that's completely possible. Every inbox, every user has the full like autonomy over that list, over that guest list. So the IT guys will probably keep it internal only, and they're not going to add random domains or emails to it because they don't want things getting brought into their inbox. But then for sales and more outwardly communicative employees, they have that autonomy. You can have a more permissive list, but in addition, it's not that any emails that come in that you like that you don't know yet that are unknown, it's not that they just like disappear or deleted. It's just in a separate folder for you to review. It's like a message request. So they could even be more permissive in the sense that they're more willing to reply and check that folder more often than an IT guy who's never expecting external emails. Doesn't even want to click on the message requests because he doesn't want to because he's worried about clicking something. Yeah,
So you can segment in your organization, leave the shape rotators alone, but the word cells can talk.
yeah,
They can just like have a binary profiles. Like these are the people that like to talk, and then these are the introverted folks. Leave them alone.
yeah,
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, let's talk about AI. I mean, and if there's any transition too of does AI email marketing like equal spam, or can using AI to email for sales marketing purposes not be spam in your point of view? Like, are you a purist? But like, is leveraging AI to do sequences and to do sophisticated marketing like behavior, like what's the cadence of me following up? It takes maybe 5 to 10 touch points to secure that meeting, and there's a hook and a hey, are you busy? And hey, what about like I mean, I interface with and respect email marketers as a profession. It doesn't equate, shady spam, bad actors. There is value of reaching out to people you don't know yet. So, from your point of view, I know there's like a spectrum of purity here, but how can AI be used in a manner that you believe is ethical above board? It's just marketing. If it's a hit, call to action. If it's not, opt out. Like it's yeah, having the opt out at the bottom, right? Like, things like that. I know there's like best practices. There's ways to do this that are right. Um, but I don't want to be so. I don't want to shut down the whole industry to say, oh, if you don't know somebody and you're using AI, like, tisk tisk, don't do it. That's I feel like that's a little too extreme too. So we can try to find that balance and nuance in the middle. I'm just curious if you have.
yeah. In my eyes, AI is just a tool. It's the next leap in tech. So somebody, marketing departments before, in order to scrape, curate, and then email 100,000 potential customers could have taken I if you think about it in hours and cost, like that the amount of time and cost to do that is falling exponentially. So it was really hard, or it would have taken a lot more hours and a lot more money to do that 5 years ago than it does today. So what does that mean? Does that mean that the marketing team was not spam before with those 100,000 emails because it took them more hours and more time, or more hours and more cost, but now it is spam because it takes less hours and less cost to do that? I don't know. These are like philosophical questions. And it's kind of funny because like people who are deep into Bitcoin know that this has been like a very long debate in Bitcoin's history. It's kind of resurfacing again now of like, what is spam? And there's all of these different camps of thought. And one of the most convincing to me has been like it's not our job to determine. But if you're expending energy, if you're paying a cost, then that's an honest um like intent, because you can't really imply intent behind that marketing team that's sending 100,000 emails 5 years ago versus now. Like I implying intent is, a fool's game. So I think cost is really the way to determine what is spam and what's not. Like I think about physical letters and mail. Like anything that comes into your mailbox at home, somebody had to pay a stamp, and that in and of itself creates like this natural honesty, because you can't just infinitely um, spam people. You have to pay to do it. There's a cost involved, um, and of course that cost is because of like the process of carrying the mail, but it also is it creates honesty, and it also creates like mutual respect. Like our time is so valuable, our attention is so valuable. If somebody wants me to read their marketing email and they pay me 5 cents to do it, I'll be more inclined to do it rather than if it was like it felt like it was shoved in my face. So it creates like this yeah, it creates a more honest and like just friendly, I guess, communication and marketing experience in that sense. And it feels like yeah, and
You put some effort into it yourself, then I kind of owe you like at least a no thank you.
exactly.
If it's a blast of, you know, yeah, it cost you nothing. It's with the AI slop. There's no value in it. It's just, garbage in, garbage out. Then it's better because you wasted my time and provided no value, you know. And I'm dumber for reading your email. Thanks. Like it's nonsense, right? But then on the flip side, if you add some value, get a good hook, there is something of intrigue, and I reply, all of a sudden, is it, the question is like, is it spam? It's like, but if I replied and I see value in it and I follow up, then maybe it wasn't, maybe it broke through. And also you could say like, how do we give the little guy a shot? Hey, I'm a startup. I'm trying to reach new customers. I'm trying to find product market fit. I'm doing blast emails because I don't have my market yet. So you're like, again, these regulatory moats, the different game that the big boys play, right?
Hmm.
It's so like again, email marketing is not just always bad or always spam. It's actually can be very good as a way for, small, medium-sized startups to find their own customers. But again, are they putting value into it? And I like this new entry point to say, yeah, with at least with email, I mean with snail mail, physical things, like there is a stamp cost. You're absolutely right. Like at least they have to budget. We want to do X amount of mailings, so stamp, and you have to print out the thing. What's the ROI? We even do it, or and then you should be adding it up.
Yeah, and that's spot on. I think it creates like a quality of intent. Like if I really want to talk to Jeff and I have something important to say to Jeff and I want Jeff to hear what I have to say, then it creates this quality of intent. I'm gonna pay you to do it. I'm gonna make sure I do it right. I'm not gonna mass bomb a million and just see what sticks. The VC model, throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. It creates more intent and honesty.
Spaghetti. It's a family show. Come on.
Spaghetti. Oh,
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, that's good. That's really good. And yeah, I know you're industry agnostic. You must be as you begin, but we were trying to hint on like what is it? The marketing department could see value in this. Like it's almost like there's industry agnostic, and then you could find what are the right you know industries. Like will you have like a cluster of like favorite industries that are early adopters or power users, and then I also think within any company, is it the HR department, with interviewing, or is it the sales marketing department with new partners and vendors? And um, hey, what if I have a popular podcast show and now everyone wants me to be a speaker and to be a guest? Where's my doorman, right? Where's the gatekeeper? So even like yeah, like smaller things, I'm curious to think, or I'm looking forward to seeing. what success looks like. Like, again, when you say, because most companies, yeah, we'll help it, we'll take anyone who comes our way in the beginning, but then you start verticalizing and specializing. You say, okay, here's the three industries we truly partner with, and like, and then sometimes they just stop and just say, this is what we're doing, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Are you totally open minded, or are you seeing kind of a heat map of like themes of who's coming to you?
I I kind of touched on this earlier, but I had, initial ideas, and the more that this gets exposed, the more I'm starting to see things I didn't see before. Because it's funny, like when you put something out, it's kind of like a piece of art. Everybody interprets it differently because they all interpret it from their perspective of, oh, how would I would use this? Does this make sense for me? And I can't see this through a million different people's eyes. I can see it through mine and then try and empathetically view it through others, but there's like an extent to that. So, but yeah, there's been, I think that the biggest B2C has been publicly facing email addresses. Like I think that's the highest product market fit, from the sense of like there's the most urgent need and instant recognition of, this is like this makes so much sense. I want this right now. And then from B2B, there's honestly, it's like the level of regulatory red tape internally. The lower that is, the better. The faster that they're like, okay, this is worthwhile. And I think, like, to segment that out a little bit, what you were saying about like marketing and HR, yeah, it's like niche in between each type of sub department. But there's a lot of like administrative or internal emails that have a lot of like internal system access, and those are the higher product market fit than the long tail away from that, of the recruiters, or the constantly outward conversations where their inbox is their job. Not their job in the sense that like they work with it. It's their job in the sense that like new mail coming there is what makes them money. um
So let's bridge this into Bitcoin and Lightning. So you, if I have a public facing email address, because it's my corporate email, but the Bitcoiners have Lightning channel emails that, or they have Lightning addresses that can look like email addresses. And so my question is, are you doing that for people that are not Bitcoiners, where you're like, now your email is a Lightning address, hence micropayments, Sats, and that is like, is this, if you feel comfortable unpacking kind of like from a Bitcoiner listener standpoint, is the solution basically integrating Lightning as the barrier and the use of microtransactions?
yeah, I'll keep this. I'll go, yeah. So we do use LNURL. What you're referring to is like the email address that is a Lightning address, but we don't host the LNURL. It's like a BYOW. So there's so many wallets out there that support this, and like Strike, Cash App, Primal uses a wallet underneath it. But yeah, there's a lot of wallets where you could just sign up, and there's a LNURL, and you can just receive Bitcoin from anybody. So that's what we use. You link that to your account, and the whole reason that we started without providing our own wallet, and we could at some we don't own Gmail domain, so we can't make like, oh, Jeff@gmail.com, your LN URL, but we could make it Jeff@rythm.com. But the whole reason we didn't take that route to start is because the the biggest technical challenge with starting this was finding a way to ensure that we are non-custodial and that we are not a money transmitter. And I honestly don't think that was possible or very easy prior to Cashew, which is another scaling protocol on top of Bitcoin that uses Lightning. It's involved with Lightning. So the way Rythm works and achieves this non-custodial, non-money transmitter, like we're just processing emails, we're email processor software, is by you link your LN URL to your website, to your Rythm account, and if somebody's paying you to send you an email, they're including a cashew token in the message body. And all Rythm software does is detect that a token exists and automate the melting process for you to your wallet. So the actual funds, the actual money is being transferred peer to peer in an email, like a dollar bill in an envelope. And then Jeff opens the envelope and he's like, oh, there's a dollar bill in here. So yeah, we just automate that process.
Let me unpack that from a non-Bitcoiner small business owner. Okay, so I own a business, been around for 10 years. Bitcoin's cool. I've heard of it. Honestly, haven't done the work. Where do I begin? Um, but the problem I'm trying to solve is too much spam and protect my employees' time from distractions. And if I'm hearing what you're saying, with Rythm, I could stack sats or stack Bitcoin. So the folks that are paying to break through and to get into the paid inbox are sending, based on the price in dollars, but is actually being paid. Am I accumulating Bitcoin?
Correct. Yes.
And it's my wallet, not
Yep.
yours.
Yep.
Perfect. And so amazing. So this service is protecting my time, filtering spam, raising the quality. And what you're doing is helping up to 30 million SMBs stack sats.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I
a
could think
news
about it
story.
like that. Yeah.
Well, I am looking at it. Yeah, this is a news story that's like just like we said, oh, Square, Jack Dorsey's company, flipped the switch and potentially 4 million merchants. And what's cool about that, it's not, oh, the Bitcoiners support with Bitcoin, the cash people support with cash. What's interesting is the crisscross, where the customer still uses dollars. They're not Bitcoiners. They're not spending Bitcoin, but the merchant flipped a switch in the background where they sold you coffee. You spent $3 US dollars on a cup of coffee, but the merchant now has $3 worth of Bitcoin, 3,000 plus sats. Well, now they're stacking Bitcoin frictionlessly, easy, and that's that technology at scale is very interesting. So if we're talking about your business, total addressable market and potential customers and how many inboxes and email addresses and then the prices, this is a really interesting case study to look out for over the as you hit success and are able to share, is just how much of an impact small medium-sized businesses can stack Bitcoin while solving a business problem. This is very, very interesting.
Yeah. I definitely like, I feel like a lot of the times when people talk about Bitcoin or try and convince people why Bitcoin's important, the discussion often revolves around forces that I would like consider a push, like negative forces. And I'm really optimistic about all of the pulls. There's a lot of like really good use cases for Bitcoin that are worthwhile jumping towards. And I feel like we're at this like shift from like the S curve of adoption is like, innovators and then early adopters and then early majority. I think we're technically capable of shifting, or we are shifting into this early majority phase. And the early majority doesn't come just because they're scared or because, their dollar is losing its purchasing power consistently. That's been happening for a while. And they're probably not coming for philosophical reasons. Like I think that's really only the innovators and the early adopters. So like I think the early majority needs pull. They need reasons. They need like tools that actually provide them value, but in the back end use Bitcoin and they don't even really realize it. The example you gave with Square is phenomenal. Like all these small, medium sized businesses, a lot of them really might not even care about Bitcoin, but now that Square's turning it on for everybody, if people are paying them with Bitcoin and even if they're receiving dollars on the back end, they're saving so much money in processing fees. They don't have to pay the 2.9% credit card processing plus 30-cent flat fee. It's gone because customers are paying them with Bitcoin. That's just like even if they don't care about Bitcoin, if they don't know what it is, even if they love their dollars, that's totally fine. But they're experiencing a real benefit, a real use case, a real value additive use case.
Yeah, absolutely. And human nature. So I saved this tweet, this X post from a day or two ago. And this is very applicable to your business or you being a founder, is everyone will not just, I'm reading it right now. If your solution to some problem relies on quote unquote, if everyone would just dot dot dot, then you do not have a solution. Everyone's not going to just. At no time in history of the universe has everyone just. They're not just going to start now. If so the premise of your pitch deck, your brilliant idea is, if human nature were to change, then I have a brilliant solution.
Yeah.
That's not it. And then for the Bitcoiners listening, you're helping SMBs stack sats in a sly roundabout way because you're actually solving the spam inbox filter, wasted time, wasted productivity, whatever it is. Also security too, security, like minimizing threats, phishing attacks, or whatever is coming through inboxes and coming after employees. So you're solving a real business problem, and you're not requiring the user or the customer to just be a sophisticated Bitcoiner. That's a very specific market. So, like the next wave of adoption, as you mentioned in the S curve, is how do we have consumer-friendly solutions that solve real problems, and then a net benefit is, yeah, I accept cash. I'm speaking my local language, but now, oh, that's kind of interesting. Like I always look at proportionality. Is
Mhm.
if you're on zero and you know nothing about it, why would a solution provider or vendor have expectations for you to be intermediate or advanced? That's the just that's a gap that doesn't make any sense. So it has to be proportionate, which is if you start stacking sats over 6 months by doing a business process you're already doing, and then you rack up a pretty sizable stack. One, that's interesting. Two, you can learn along the way. And then three, proportionally, your stack would grow, and then you could add security measures and protocols and grow with it. But it's not a light switch where you go from 0 to 100. You have to. It
Exactly.
might take years, but start the 5-year journey today. That's.
Yeah, I like that you framed it that way because looking back, that was like one of the biggest design considerations and a lot of like the big decisions I had to make, hard decisions I had to make were all around user experience. We can't just say, oh, what if everybody just ran their own Lightning node and had non-custodial wallets and like did all this crazy stuff? Like it would be great, but most people won't do that. And I know that if you're very deep into Bitcoin, like Rythm is, you know, it's not freedom tech. It's a tack on solution on side of or on top of Gmail and Outlook inboxes, which a lot of people like really deep into freedom tech probably don't use them anyways because they're not very privacy preserving.
Let me say something there. So, Freedom Tech is awesome, and these people are brilliant.
Yes, 100% agreed. But the
And
where I
they,
was getting with that is like the impetus or the direction and the compromise I landed on was how do we
Mhm.
bring people one step closer towards freedom tech. I'm not brilliant enough to build the end state, the insanely detailed protocols that all of this stands on. I'm just trying to help build stepping stones to create a pull to pull us in that direction. And that's why Rhythm is the way it is right now.
Yes, and I also wanted to say these people are brilliant, and we look up to them, and that's the mountaintop. That's where people are. Some people choose to go. Some people choose not to climb this mountain, by the way. But the solution you've created, thank you for saying, and what this podcast aims to do is to help people get off of zero and take a step in that direction and decide if they want to keep going up. There's maturity layers, and it's a process, it's a journey. Um, and that's why this podcast is going to be by default published on Spotify and YouTube, because I want it to be for people that are not already in like a echo chamber or a Bitcoin bubble. It's for broader SMB owners who have questions, legitimate beginner questions about AI and Bitcoin. And again, like meeting brilliant founders like yourself, where you're like, okay, you don't have a bunch of homework and reading to do before you can find the benefit in AI and Bitcoin, because I'm solving a real business problem for you, for your business today. But now that this, that you implement it, you would be learning about Bitcoin, you'd be accumulating Bitcoin. You're using AI in some aspects, so that's applicable to the nature of the show. But the point being, some of these brilliant people, you almost feel like how much prerequisite work do you have to do to even interface where they're so far along. And so I feel like this is where we help bring people with us and identify, this huge middle market that doesn't know where to begin. I would say, we hear these buzzwords. There's these mega trends. Who can I talk to? Who can I pick up the phone? How does this, without making me just, how does this apply to my current business where I like the productivity gain of AI or the savings technology protecting my purchasing power of Bitcoin? And then what you've created is this interesting protecting my inbox, time and my identity and my security with Bitcoin. Again, do the listeners know the book software, right?
Yeah. I this is it's making me fun think of an analogy that I love. I think Jesse Myers maybe was the one who wrote something about it a while ago. But Bitcoin is kind of like it's the Wild West. It's like the migration west in the US. The first people to move west, there were no roads, there were no towns, there was no
The Oregon
infrastructure.
Trail.
Yeah, Oregon Trail. It was dangerous.
Yeah.
The only people who did this were serious, people who could survive on their own, who were resourceful, who were motivated ideologically or for whatever reasons. And you don't get to that phase from innovator to early adopter to early majority to migrate all the way out west to this new frontier, this new foundation of freedom tech. You don't get there by, jumping from the East Coast all the way to the West. All of the beginning, the way you get the early majority to start to migrate is to make the trip less dangerous and to create pull, to create checkpoints along the way, build the roads, build the infrastructure for materials and such. You have to pave a way. You have to pave a path because, like, it's it's funny because I sometimes forget. I'm so deep. I feel like I grew up with tech. It's like a part of me in so many ways. I was playing, you know, uh, coding little plugins on games since I was in like middle school. And tech feels almost second nature to me in so many ways. And having gone all the way to the Wild West and then played with these protocols and these tools and then come back, I sometimes forget that people like don't have that intuitive understanding of like how things are working behind the scene when they're using the tech that they're using. But that really is the case for the vast majority of people. And once you understand that, then it becomes really clear that, of course, like the Wild West, all the way out west is the place we need to be. But people, one, don't even understand what's happening behind the scenes. So you really have to create these pulls, these checkpoints, these roads. And yeah, Rythm it's the first step. And I know that this is going to be extinct one day, and that's okay. Like the whole point is just to pull people in a direction. And then if Gmail and Outlook natively build this in one day, great. I can go build the next bridge um, towards more sustainable foundations. So, yeah,
Even this podcast, in theory and in time, could be published on a podcasting 2.0 platform where it's the value for value model, where instead of having to use advertisers, the listeners can stream sats, micropayments of Satoshis, and the creators can fund the show. Um, that again gets more niche, and I'll look into that, how to republish on those platforms. But to begin with, it's and in the absence of actual advertisers, as I'm kicking this off, what I'm trying to do is get founders like yourself to share what you're really working on. The guest of the show is the pitch or the demo. And with that, I would say the next episode you join, I would like it kind of a webinar format, like a demo format, if that's okay with you, where you share your screen more than just like a website. But as we talk through it, since we do have video, we can, podcasts don't have to just be audio. They can be with webcam here as well as with screen capture and sharing as we narrate. And yeah, and again, I think visually showing, explaining, and then just making ourselves available, which is to say, okay, I've got further questions, I have private questions, and then it's like, well, tell you how to reach me, and we can help you privately in a private demo. I think that's the most effective way to help people. So yeah,
100%. Yeah, that'd be great.
yeah. So I'm going to wrap here. I guess my last question is this. Is there anything I didn't ask you, or is there anything you wanted to expand on that maybe earlier we talked about, but we had jargon? So just assuming the listener doesn't already know what we know, was there any kind of like bow you wanted to put on this episode in the sense of like, um, just in case you were getting, you got a little into jargon, you wanted to circle back and complete a thought, or if I had, if our conversation, you want to kind of get back on course, I give you the last word on what was the like, what's the last soundbite you want to put in this episode to put a bow on about it?
Yeah, I am the king of jargon. So I'll put a bow on it with the marketing analogies that resonate the most, that I found that resonate the most, is that this is Rythm right now. It's just a bouncer for your inbox. It's a guy who stands at the front door, looks at who's coming in, says, "Do I know you? Do I not know you? Are you on the list? No, okay. Can you pay? No, okay. You're off to the side." It's just this like barrier, this boundary that you control that doesn't, collect store all of this data on you. It doesn't it doesn't store your message data. It's just in time memory processing, making small decisions so that you don't have to do that processing and make those small decisions when you're reading through your inbox. It just happens before the messages get there. So yeah, it's a bouncer. That's the best way I've been able to convey this message in a non-jargon related manner.
Yeah, awesome. You have a great URL too. www.rythm, Rythm dot XYZ. That's good. That's a really good. We'll put on the links in the show notes. So the episode show notes, I'll put all the links. So Sean, where are your preferred places to find you? I'll put your LinkedIn, I'll put your website. Do you have an email?
Yeah, I
And do
do.
people have it?
It's Sean at rhythm.xyz, but there is a paywall on it. So yeah, if you want to reach me there, go to the website. We have a support email there, and yeah, you see my LinkedIn will be there as well. So those are the big three.
LinkedIn website. Perfect. Sounds good. Sean, this has been a pleasure. Love to have you back on soon, and we'll do like a webinar-ish, like, kind of demo conversation.
Great.
Um,
Looking forward to
but
it.
thanks again for your time. This was a lot of fun. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and congratulations. What you've created is very, very cool, and I see a huge opportunity here, helping people solve real world problems while also stacking satoshis
Love
and
it.
learning about
I
Bitcoin.
appreciate
Yeah.
it, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. All right,
Thanks.
everybody, have a great day. We'll see you next time. And that is our show. All right, take care.